You guys are so shallow. I have to get dressed up just in order to even get some views around here. How come you don't like my raggedy stuff? Gotta do the effort, and then I gotta streamline the message. Anyways, so I haven't published this yet, but it's in the works. It's my Sovereign Architecture, the book. I think it's pretty. It's a handsome looking book because it's full of information. At first, the need for such a thought for me was post-divorce, right? So not only was I going through some bullshit at home, but it in turn kind of motivated me to think on a bigger scale. And at some point it got to the architecture of things, right? And therefore as I started paying attention to some different forms of content and politics and worldwide global geopolitical stuff, right? And wars and how we treat poverty and chaos and immigration worldwide, it kind of led me to think about a couple things. And so in reflection of that, I've been exploring ideas, right? And conversations and this and that. So my sovereign architecture in a way came from me trying to not only purify the mission of my perceived business or art project. It was like a marketing company slash business consulting, right? So if I were gonna try to consult people on how to run successful businesses, it would be to address these certain character traits so that the capability of my team rises, right? And so with that mentality and driven by a little bit of underneath love that I feel like God extended me. So because I don't want to just see winners keep winning. That seems a bit unfair. And although they easily are, right? There's a reason why winners are winners and then losers perhaps need a little bit more coaching so that at least the standard isn't so terrible, right? So, the preface for the sovereign architecture. To look upon a modern city is to witness a paradox. We stand among towering spires of steel and glass, surrounded by unprecedented material abundance, connected by invisible webs of light that bridge continents in milliseconds. Yet beneath the polished facade of contemporary civilization lies a quiet, pervasive collapse. We are a culture overflowing with tools, but desperately lacking a foundation. We have built intricate systems to manage external reality, yet millions of individuals find themselves trapped in internal ruin, plagued by anxiety, fragmenting under pressure, and mistaking survival for living. First paragraph, right? Preface. My goodness. And then the outline and majority of the guts is actually up on my website, LXMNV.com/sovereign architecture. It's been, I even uploaded it to the internet archives or something, or a version of it, so that this information is not for sale technically, right? Yes, it's in my book because I expanded on this, but the basic necessity for how a company, a kingdom, and a family could thrive and leave a legacy or pursue to leave a dent in this period of time, with impact or wealth or however, is I have some ideas, right? So I do take life not as seriously as I'm supposed to. But I also am cursed with kind of knowing a bit too much, and it's a lot to handle, really, right? It's the boring stuff. Nobody wants to hear it. Not even I want to hear it. So whereas it's a bit more easy to have a fun life, right? Why be so serious, for one? But then there are times to take stuff seriously, and I guess this is it. This book is born from a single undeniable truth. A structure cannot endure what its foundation was never designed to bear. For years, through the pages of The Architects of Her, a book I wrote for women by the feminine side of me, and The Living Wisdom recorded in ALX Proverbs, as the book for men, by the majority, the 99.999% side of me. I have explored the mechanics of human character, personal governance, and quiet principles that govern lasting strength. What became undeniably clear across every discipline, whether examined individual artistic success, addressing complex social crises like homelessness, or observing the slow decay of modern institutions, is that our deepest crises are structural, not circumstantial. We have attempted to solve structural problems with temporary band-aids. We have confused armor with strength and performance with purpose, and emergency survival tactics with sustainable architecture. Even among CEOs and bosses and leaders and politicians, the common way of operation is crisis management. Like, you manage the burning building as it's burning instead of like doing something else while it's not burning. Sovereign architecture is the answer to this crisis. I just put the stuff down in words. I didn't come up with the idea. I'm just exploring my perspective of the current dilemma, right? And I'm somehow kind of throwing my hands up in the air and be like, why is nobody else seeing this? However, we are, but it's just the people in power have a lot of handshakes they done done. So there is the good and evil has shaken hands at a certain level of compromise so that we don't entirely just destroy ourselves, right? And so we have found that the foundation for even that is perhaps not as solid as possible. Let's shift the dynamics a little bit so that we can either continue or self-destruct, right? Sovereign architecture, it's a philosophy, a discipline, an active construction plan for the next 1,000 years. And then I went a little bit ambitious, put some Bible into it, because Bible hasn't disappointed us for the last 2,000 years. So if we continue to base some principles, leadership, government, marriage, the way we interact with each other, on something so foundational and close to the truth, right? And then even that, there's a lot of blessings described in that. It's not just thou shalt not or you will be smited. It's like, it's assumed that even the concept of karma, the principle of sowing and reaping, it still applies, because in a way it's the law of the universe, right? There's a positive, there's a negative, there's a good, there's an evil. It's what makes this life so dramatic and interesting and energized, right? So if we were all on the same page and we were all just good people and didn't do nothing wrong, then perhaps we wouldn't even be reproducing, right? Like, it's just even that part comes out of a little bit of tension of stuff, right? It is a blueprint designed to take the scattered reactive pieces of human existence and forge them into unshakable generative foundation capable of outlasting the shifts of culture, time, and circumstance. Yes, trends happen, but at the root, if we have a solid foundation where we can not only agree, but it's common acknowledged common sense, and And when you need something dumbed down, like, I'm your boy. If you want me to spell out that 2 plus 2 is 4, I will gladly do it, right? So if we have 1, and then we have another one, that makes it 1, 2. That makes it 2. And then if we have 1, and then another one, that makes it 2 more. And if we were to count these 4 fingers, that's 4. If we were to multiply 2 times 2, which means double itself, we would have, anyways. Yes. And this is like literally, some of this is hella basic. It's how do we interact with the people? Because for this moment in history, this is all we have, right? So there are some people who are evil and try to invade our land, steal and kill our children and women, and take over our accomplishments and possessions, right? And we're like, hold up, not me. You fucking with the wrong guy, right? So otherwise you get your booty taken, right? So sometimes you just gotta stand up for yourself. Or some people, nations, are quite ambitious and they go and try to conquer other stuff. As terrible as it sounds, in a way, humans have been kind of doing this naturally without God's intervention over and over and over, right? As soon as we have a bright tomorrow, well, we're planning for an even brighter next day because we're that ambitious, right? My pile of stuff needs to be bigger than theirs. And sometimes it feels good. It's just the way we operate. But yeah, sometimes the losers perhaps don't have to lose as bad. Like, we don't have to destroy a nation, piss on them, spit on them, bury them, and then piss on the ground, and then leave a desecrating history behind them, right? Just because they got conquered. That's like excessive. We don't have to. You know, there's perhaps a equilibrium of some kind to where we're not as terrible to people, especially people who are kind of not able to protect themselves, because that in itself becomes God's territory, right? If the people who can't protect themselves cry out to God, then he has to, in a way, do something, right? Otherwise, we're just kind of assuming that God doesn't save you, right? And so, yeah, unfortunately, somebody got to come get you. You can't do that. So the standard has to be a bit higher. The principles of internal self-governance, last paragraphs. These are supposed to be 10-minute videos, and this is just the preface of it. Every human life is a piece of architecture. What a beautiful sentence. Every human life is a piece of architecture. And not even fucking yours. Like the maker. Like, you get 0 credit for making life. You just had sex for selfish reasons, and the child is a byproduct, right? So, which in itself is not even a burden. So, but the life is given out by somebody else, right? The air we breathe, so somebody breathed it into our lungs, gave us that soul, that spark that will unfortunately / fortunately last through eternity after it began, right? Yeah, most people do not build their lives. They inhabit structures built for them by external expectations, public approval, and inherited fears. In the architecture of her, I wrote, true sovereignty cannot be built externally until a person or society governs their internal world. Power without self-governance is not freedom. It is a disaster waiting for a spark. To understand sovereignty, to understand sovereign architecture, one must first understand what it means to be sovereign. Sovereignty is not isolation, nor is it the cold pursuit of dominance over others. True sovereignty is internal self-governance. right? All of us want to be a boss. All of us want to be the CEO. All of us want to tell people what the fuck to do. But if we are not in control of ourselves, we're just we're just kind of stupid. Like, and I'm terrible at this. I have shitty decisions that I make every single day. Um, I've had my life fall apart on me many times. And sometimes, and at the end of the road, I've had to come with the realization that if I were to pursue this, try to be a boss, try to be a sovereign, try to think independently, I would have to first govern myself. And a lot of you guys do. Some of you guys are pretty good about that. It is the absolute authority over one's mind, attention, emotional state, and spiritual conviction. When an individual lacks internal self-government, they believe entirely dependent. They become entirely dependent on their environment for stability. They require constant external validation to feel secure, public applause to feel worthy, and perpetual distraction to avoid the quiet ache of their own internal emptiness. When the storms of life inevitably hit, when the market crash, relationships end, or societal norms shift, their unanchored structure collapses under the weight. That's a heavy paragraph, right? And it's still only in the introduction. So within the first 4 paragraphs of reading this book, your mind could go and you could be a billionaire and know how to leave a lasting legacy, right? Because this book is just for that. Sovereign architecture begins beneath the surface. It demands that we stop decorating exterior of our lives while our interior walls crumble. Very Christian, right? Don't be a whitewashed tomb. Don't be a hollow, rotten apple. Don't be a bad tree. Like, the inside has to matter as well. Simply because if nobody has good insides, then life isn't even interesting. Even God gets bored of that, right? If the world was just full of evil killing itself, hey, it would make him sad. But there's just no fucking drama. It's just idiots doing idiot things. So of course, send a meteor. Like, wash them the fuck out. Start over with somebody who might have a little bit of fear for this law, right? And that's a scary thought. Like, not all of us want to just willingly sign up for that, which is how some of us gotta be proactive and be like, hold up. Too evil is too evil. You know, the good guys have to win a little bit, like, for fuck's sake. It demands that we stop decorating the exterior of our lives while our interior walls crumble. It requires us to cultivate a quiet, grounded influence, a presence that does not need to shout to be felt, and a stability that does not bend to the noise of transactional status. Everything can be bought, right? Everything has a price. And then we're finding out that not everything should have a price, right? You know what I mean. And stability that is not bent to the noise of transactional status. Anyways, the introduction of chapter Preface of Sovereign Architecture is not yet published, but the outline and the structure and the information and the majority of the guts of that is on my website, LXMNV.com. And if that inspires some good conversation, perhaps it's some good conversation. Thank you.